to another. What to expect when you've been traumatized. Yeah. This is a sad subject, but we're going to talk about the fact that when you've been traumatized, you're probably not going to remember everything. And that's okay. And that's totally normal. Okay? Let me explain. Normally, when a person is abused, raped, or whatever, you're not going to be fully present for it because you're going to be terrified and your brain's going to be like, oh, this is too much. We got to shut this shit down. We don't want to experience this. And for some people, we kind of float up to the ceiling and just kind of watch from like a third person perspective because it's way too much. This especially happens when you've been abused as a child and, you're just kind of watching it from, corner of a room and you're just like, oh, what's that? And then, when you come back to, you're back in your body, you're like, I don't feel so good. I don't know why. It's just the same thing that's been happening my entire life. Uncle Ken was, doing that stuff to me that I don't really understand, but it's normal and none of the other adults in my life are freaking out about this, so it must be fine. Even though I don't feel super amazing, even though I feel gross, even though I have all these complicated emotions that I don't know how to express because I'm fucking 7. Yeah, that was definitely what happened to me. Anyway, so the other thing too is that everyone's trauma is different, okay? Some people's trauma, it's a one-time thing and, it happened and then you never see the person again. Or for some people, it's been happening lifelong, so you don't really have a good framework to classify this as weird or wrong. This happens so much with child abuse victims because it's like, adults, when you're a kid, adults touch your body a lot. They touch it for medical reasons, or if you grabbed your pants, they gotta clean you up. There's a lot of reasons for adults to touch a child's body, especially in the inappropriate areas. So when an adult is touching a kid for their own sick, disgusting, twisted pleasure, it might not register as completely wrong in the moment to that kid because it's like, oh, this just happens, So for starters, we need to be better about teaching kids what is and is not okay for an adult to touch them. Like how, all that sort of stuff. You get what I mean? So anyways, back on topic. If you've been abused and you've suffered trauma, you might have a hard time recalling details, and that might make things really difficult if you go to report to the police because they're like, we expect you to express yourself calmly and rationally and remember every single little detail, because if you don't, we're just going to assume that you're crazy and absolutely lying and unreliable. And this is really bullshit because a lot of times we can get the victims and the abusers mixed up. Why? Because the victims come in like, oh, I'm freaking out, I am having these emotional meltdowns, I have an explosive temper, and then you have the abuser who hasn't been traumatized, who has not been fucking traumatized, who just did what they wanted to do, and they're fine. Now they come in like, oh, I'm so scared of this person, I didn't do anything wrong, and they're just freaking out, and now they're saying all these mean things about me and I've never heard them. They're just crazy. It's a lot easier to remain calm and rational when you haven't been traumatized, when you haven't been abused. It's way easier. So yeah, it's easier for the abuser to come off as more credible than the victim. And they know that and they use that to their advantage to discredit and make the victim look crazy, make themselves look like a sympathetic martyr victim. So it's a complicated issue and we need to talk about this. We need to be aware of this and we need to approach everything skeptically and ask appropriate questions. So I want to say a word to victims of any kind of trauma. If you don't remember everything, that's okay. If all you remember is the way you felt inside, or you kind of remember things kind of blurry, you are not crazy. That was literally your brain doing what it was designed to do, to protect you from severe harm. Okay? So if you go to someone and you break down and they're like, are you sure? You don't seem very with it right now. It's like, of course you're not with it. Of course you're not with it. You've been traumatized. Some people can go through it and be like, yeah, so this is what happened. And if you're anything like me, sometimes you talk about what happened with an edge of very dark humor, and people are like, why are you talking about it like it's a fucking joke? It's not a joke, it's just my way of coping. I cope with humor. It's what kept me alive. So no matter what, no matter how you cope with it, I want to affirm you and let you know that you are okay, your trauma is valid, and also, fuck your abuser. Seriously, fuck him, or her, or them, or whatever pronouns they use, whatever. All right.